What's going on, you guys? So, this is Bushido's Monologue, episode 2. And last week, we talked about various topics. This week, we're going to talk about what's been happening since last week. And, of course, we had the Tyron Woodley-Jake Paul fight. Ended in controversy. A lot of people felt that Tyron Woodley should have got the victory. The fight itself was forgettable, but the anticipation, the build-up, and everything else is what made that fight somewhat interesting. Will we get a rematch? Will we see a rematch? Who knows? But whatever the case, there's a lot of money involved in that fight. Jake Paul donated some of his purse to some of the fighters on the card, and that was a very generous gesture from Jake Paul. So salute to Jake Paul for looking out for the other fighters on the card. But moving forward, Terrence Crawford and Shawn Porter, purse bid has been pushed back to September 14th. The purse bid was going to be aired live today on Facebook if they wasn't able to reach an agreement in time, and then they requested an extension, both Top Rank and PBC. So we're going to see what happens with that. And also, I heard that, shout out to Town Biz for the info, but he spoke with Kenny Porter, and Kenny Porter told them that pretty much they wanted more money. Him and Sean, they wanted some more money, and Bob Arum wasn't willing to, give it to him or something. What's confusing about that to me is how come Al Heyman just can't put no money into the fight, into the pot for Shawn Porter to, go into that fight with Terrence Crawford? How much are they really asking for? Who knows? I do think Shawn Porter deserves whatever he's asking for. And Bob Arum, he tends to be really cheap. If you want to do right by Terrence Crawford, he should be doing whatever is in his power to make this fight happen. Not just for the sake of his reputation as a promoter, but just for the sake of the company Top Rank in general. You got a lot of fighters under that stable, and they pay attention. They watch. They see how Bob Arum been moving, how he treats some of his guys. And, yeah, he might want to do right by Terrence Crawford by making sure this fight happens. Whether Terrence Crawford stays with Top Rank or not, he should try to do right by the guy if this is the end of the road. But the fight itself, the negotiations is taking a lot longer than expected for a lot of people. Your boy Bushido kind of expected this to happen. There's this long, drawn-out process with the negotiations. Something like this is going to be the story of Terrence Crawford's career. Him having a hard time getting these guys in the ring, the big-name guys. It's going to be a struggle for Terrence Crawford, but I'm being optimistic, and I'm thinking the fight is going to happen. So we go see, Kenny Porter said they wanted more money. Based off of both parties, the TGB Promotions and Top Rank wanting to get an extension, that leads me to believe that they have some type of deal that they're working out, and they just got to get it ironed out before the September 14th. We'll see what happens with that. If not, it's going to purse bid, and that's something that they likely wouldn't want to happen, because then Triller and DAZN have a chance to dip into the fight. And that's what Kenny Porter said. He said if they can't get their shit together in time, then somebody's going to pick up the fight. So we're going to see what happens with that. Now, this is the big one right here. Canelo Alvarez, Ryan Garcia, Andy Ruiz, Oscar Valdez, Eddie Reynoso. Team Canelo has been under the spotlight since Oscar Valdez has tested positive for a feather whatever, right? He tested positive for some shit, claimed it was herbal tea, and a lot of fans, a lot of fighters are looking at these guys with the side eye. A lot of people think that the Reynoso camp may not be as clean as they coming off. Devin Haney has been taking shots at the camp. Gervonta Davis also took shots at Oscar Valdez. So a lot of people paying attention. A lot of people are suspicious that these guys are on some performance enhancements or weight cutters or whatever the hell they're doing. They're on something over there. You see the photos of Andy Ruiz, absolutely shredded, jacked. Ryan Garcia looking like Peter Parker after he got bit by the spider. Shout out to my boy YSM Sports Media. That was funny. That's how Ryan Garcia's looking. He's looking pretty jacked for a young guy. I don't know. And then you look at Oscar Valdez. Going into the Miguel Burchell fight, he was a fading fighter. He didn't look too good his fights prior to that fight. And then out of nowhere, he shows up and looks spectacular. Even knocks out the bigger man in the fight of the year, knockout of the year candidate type of performance. And then he tests positive for Johnriel. And then they said it was a pandaranarine. And now boxing fans is looking at this dude like he's a cheater now. You know, he's supposed to fight on September 10th against Robson Conceicao. And now that fight is in jeopardy because of the positive test. So we're going to see what happens. You know, a lot of people is paying attention to these guys. You know, a lot of boxing fans really think that these dudes are cheating. A lot of people. Not just your boy Bushido. And I do think earlier on I gave Oscar the benefit of the doubt. But as more information been circulating, it's looking more and more like these guys been cheating. You know, it's just not looking good for Team Reynoso right now. You know, the spotlight is on these guys. Victor Conte himself, the ped master, the guy that knows all about the performance enhancements, he came out and said that shit can't be found in no herbal tea. So this dude is pretty much saying, you know, the dog ate my homework. He's lying, basically. You know, Victor Conte came out and said this. You know, Tank Davis come out, you know, saying things. Right? Devin Haney comes out and said, hey, these guys know. Right? These guys know. Ryan Garcia responds to Devin Haney saying that you can't accuse me of blah, blah, blah. You know, Ryan Garcia started talking about people fell asleep and his ticket sales. But Devin Haney said, man, you ducking me. You know what I'm saying? You ducking. Like, shut up, man. You ducking me. You ain't even trying to fight. You know what I'm saying? You faked mental illness, and then you ran off and, you know, now you about to fight Jojo Diaz instead of fighting me when you were supposed to be next in line to fight me. So Ryan Garcia, he has no room to talk at all. Actually, all those guys from that camp need to shut the fuck up. Even Eddie Reynoso responded to Devin Haney. Devin Haney, he said he ain't scared to say it. He said everybody else scared to say it, but I'm not. Like, these dudes over there cheating. You know? So, yeah, this is some pretty interesting turn of events, to say the least, right? Very interesting. It also leaves suspicion that why did Canelo Alvarez, and, you know, this is a lot for the boxing conspiracy theorists, but why did Canelo Alvarez want to wait to push the fight back? Why was the COVID reason the real legitimate reason why the fight didn't happen initially with Caleb Plant? You know, it's a lot of speculation. You know, a lot of people think Canelo Alvarez and his whole team is cheating now. And when you really look at him, I mean, shit, what could you say otherwise? I mean, who knows, right? But I do know that they're going to be under the spotlight, and Canelo Alvarez's next performance is going to tell all. It's going to tell all. You know, if he's looking flat, lethargic, slow, sluggish, not looking explosive like he typically does, then fans are going to really be alarmed that this dude may have been he may have gotten off of what he's been on or something. You know, hey, it's just speculation. We're going to see what happens with that. You know, people watching. So, yeah. But Erislandy Lara vacates his 154-pound title, and he is going to be campaigning at 160 full-time, and he wants Ryota Murata next. He wants to unify with Ryota Murata. So he's going to vacate his belt at 154, his WBA title at 154, his regular belt. He's going to go up to 160. He's going to continue to campaign at 160 with his other belt, and he's going to try to unify. He's going to try to unify with Ryota Murata, who is I believe he is the WBA super champion at 160. So, yeah, he's going to try to steal that fight for Golovkin. If you don't know, WBA loves Erislandy Lara. I mean, every time you look around, Erislandy Lara got a WBA belt around his waist or around his shoulder or what have you. You know, so WBA will give Lara the Ryota Murata fight, and then Lara may be able to get some bigger fights before he go ahead and pack it in on a very, very solid career. Erislandy Lara is one of my favorite boxers, by the way. You know, even though I don't really talk about him much, you know, he don't really give you much to talk about. You know, he's at the tail end of his career. He's just kind of on autopilot, doing what he do with the little time he got left. You know what I'm saying? So I expect Lara to try to get that fight with Ryota Murata. WBA may enforce it. We're going to see what Ryota Murata does, if he's willing to fight the Cuban boxing maestro. We're going to see if he's willing to do that. And then if Lara beats Ryota Murata, then that puts pressure on Golovkin. Like, do you still want this belt or not? You know, because Lara, he called out Triple G years ago, and Triple G didn't want no smoke with him. So Lara's going to put himself in position to get one of the bigger fights at 160, whether it's against Andrade, Charlo. You know, something's got to give, right? And I think WBA getting rid of those belts was a good move for boxing. And I think the other sanction bodies need to follow suit. But what else we got? The Caleb Plant, Canelo Alvarez fight. The thing with that fight that's most interesting to me is this is going to be the first time in a while that Canelo Alvarez has taken such a risk. The fight with Caleb Plant is a risky fight for Canelo because he's going to be fighting under the PBC banner. He's not going to be under Golden Boy. He's not going to be under Matchroom DAZN. So it's not his house. It's going to be a PBC house. It's Caleb Plant's house. And I think that by them getting Canelo Alvarez, they're not going to just give him that $40 million and then let Canelo beat their guy and Caleb Plant and Canelo Alvarez run off with them belts and then we never see him again. I think PBC is going to give Caleb Plant a fair shot in this fight, the judges and whatever. And if Caleb Plant, he just got to show up and do the work. You know, he can't just let Canelo dictate the pace. He can't let Canelo walk him down, do things like that. You know, he's going to have to show that he's the ring general, and he's going to have to show that he's in control in this fight. And I think he will get a fair shake to get a decision over Canelo, which is seemingly impossible in the sport of boxing. But I think if anybody can do it under the right circumstances, it's Caleb Plant under these circumstances. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out. And we're going to also see how Canelo looks against Caleb Plant now that this whole, PED circulation rumor shit going around. We're going to see how Canelo Alvarez looks in that fight as well. So that should be really, really interesting. I give Canelo Alvarez full credit for this one because he's fighting under hostile territory. He's doing a one and done for a reason. But if Caleb Plant wins, then that's better business for PBC. And honestly, I think it's better for boxing if Caleb Plant wins. But if Caleb Plant does win, boom, there goes the rematch. Boom, there's more money for PBC Showtime. They get to get Canelo Alvarez again. And then we have a little storyline here between Caleb Plant and Canelo Alvarez. So I think it's better for boxing if Caleb Plant was to get the victory over Canelo Alvarez. Yeah, go ahead and hit that dislike button. I know you didn't like that. I noticed that I don't get too many dislikes on my videos, but I noticed there's one particular person that's always hitting the dislike button no matter what I'm talking about, no matter what the video is about. They come on here and hit the dislike button. Well, to that person, if you're listening right now, I hope when you walk out the house, I hope there's a lingering wasp or a hornet and it sting you right in the motherfucking eye. All right? So dislike that. But what else we got? We ain't got no fights coming up this weekend. I don't think. Oh, we got I think Katie Taylor fighting this weekend. Who else? I could have sworn Conor Benn was fighting this week, but I'm not sure if he's fighting this week. I know he's supposed to be fighting Adrian Granados, and Granados wants to fight Adrian Broner rematch if he beats Conor Benn. That's a tall order. Conor Benn looking phenomenal, and I think Conor Benn is going to stop Adrian Granados. So we're going to see what happens with that fight. Adrian Granados, man, tough fight after tough fight after tough fight after tough fight. You know what I'm saying? How much does he really have left? Conor Benn is a young fighter. He's looking really strong, looking really good, got a lot of momentum. And that's a tough fight for Adrian Granados, man. But salute to him, man. We got to give respect to the guys who may not, like the Gabe Rosado type of dudes, the Adrian Granados, those type of guys, man, who may not necessarily be at the elite level, but they're right there. And they can, they'll fight anybody. You know what I'm saying? They'll fight any fucking body. So you got to respect those guys, man. I wish him the best in that fight. That's a dangerous, tough fight for him at this point. We're going to see how he does in that one. But, yeah, what else we got? Naoya Inoue versus Johnriel Casamayor. Very interesting fight for the Asian boxing fans. Very interesting fight in boxing, period. Naoya Inoue needs a rival. He needs a villain to kind of, get him going in America. Actually, Naoya Inoue, he needs to learn how to speak English, too. I don't understand what a lot of these boxers' problem is with speaking the language in the country they're fighting in. UFC encourages their fighters, their foreign fighters, to learn the language, and then before you know it, these guys are speaking English. So it'll be wise for Naoya Inoue to learn how to speak the language here so he can communicate with the fans and, things of that nature. At least communicate with them on a basic level. So they can really feel you more, you know what I'm saying? Because when there's a language barrier, it's kind of hard to relate to guys because you just can't feel it, you know what I'm saying? But the fight itself between him and Johnriel Casamayor is a pretty good fight. I think that's a fight that should happen this year. Naoya Inoue is pretty annoyed by Johnriel Casamayor's antics. He's somewhat of a troll, asshole type of guy. They say he's just doing it just for it's just the character he's putting up. But whatever the case, he's doing a good job at it. Boxing needs these type of guys who's willing to be the bad guy. We can't have everybody these silent robots, everybody trying to be the good guy, the nice guy, humble. No, we need some assholes in boxing. Guys like Romero, Johnriel, Casamayor. You need those type of dudes, the assholes, the bad boys. You need those type of guys. Speaking of Rolly, he said he's like a mandatory to fight Tank Davis. I think that's a fight that should happen. I think that's a fight that makes sense. It's an in-house fight all the way around the board with Floyd Mayweather. They both Mayweather promotion fighters, so it's way in-house for Floyd. Rolly's a good bad guy, a good villain for Tank Davis, especially coming off the momentum that Tank Davis had in the fight with Mario Barrios, where Tank Davis was obviously and clearly the smaller guy. So it was hard to root against a guy that's so much smaller. It's kind of hard to root against him. So to carry that momentum on to the next fight against a bad guy or an asshole like Rolando Romero, it makes all the perfect sense in the world. Really good action-packed matchup on paper. It's going to be fists flying. Rolly does come to fight. He may not be the most skilled guy, but he does come to fight. And Tank Davis, he's pound for pound one of the biggest punchers in the sport and probably one of the best fighters in the sport. You know what I'm saying? So that's a really good fight. It makes a lot of sense. Tank Davis, he's that dude. You know what I'm saying? I was pretty critical of Tank early on because I see the talent he has. But the fight with Mario Barrios showed me a lot. Even though Mario Barrios wasn't the Josh Taylor level type opponent, it was a good enough opponent for a smaller guy like Tank at that particular time. And Tank did a really good job in that fight, man. His speed carried, his power carried. He looked really good, man. He took that dude's shots well, and he showed a lot of dog in his fight, man. Tank Davis, that dude. So it should be really interesting to see if that fight with Rolando Romero gets made. I don't understand why it wouldn't. Floyd Mayweather don't seem to care about what the fans want. He seemed to want to do what he wants. So we go see what happens, man. It'd be criminal if that fight just didn't happen. I think Tank and Rolly, it should happen. Why not, right? He's not going to be fighting Loma or anybody like that anytime soon, so why not fight Rolando Romero to close out the year? So, yeah. What else we got? Not too much happened this week, honestly, you guys. Really not too much happened this week for me to really, dig deep into. Not too much, just minor news, a little bullshit here and there. Not nothing too major. We still waiting on the Wilder Fury fight. A lot of boxing fans really don't think it's going to happen. Fans from both sides, Fury and Wilder, don't think that fight's going to happen. I think it's about a 20-30% chance that it's going to happen. And there's only reason why it's like that is because we're dealing with a guy like Tyson Fury. There's so much uncertainty with that guy. You just don't know what's going to happen. So that's like the next big fight boxing fans is waiting for. Other than that, man, there's not really too much going on. We got the Canelo plant fight in November. Anthony Joshua versus Alexander Usyk. Should be a really good fight. Alexander Usyk, he wanted this fight. So it's not like he was shying away from the challenge. And salute to Usyk, because guys like Ryan Garcia, he was in position to fight the man in Devin Haney, and he didn't want to do it. Usyk, he's in position to fight Joshua, and he was hell-bent on getting that shot. Not willing to take step aside, none of that shit. He wanted his opportunity. So salute to Usyk. But the fight itself, very dangerous fight for both men. Usyk definitely has the speed advantage. I'm not sure exactly how his camp been going or what he's been doing in camp, or if he's trying to put on size to match AJ's strength. I don't think that would be a good idea because it's just not going to happen. You should work to your strength, and that's the speed and the footwork. AJ, I think he's going to try to be light on his feet as well in that fight, and I think that may be detriment to him in that matchup. I think he should just go in there and bulldog and run Usyk out the ring. Don't play around with him. Don't try to outbox him. Just go up in there, pressure him, with the jab, and just use your size and intimidate him and eventually wear him out. So that's a dangerous fight for AJ, though. Usyk can fuck around and win. Usyk knows how to win. He don't know how to lose. So AJ got to be careful in that fight, or all is lost. His potential payday with Fury, potential payday with Wilder, all is lost if you lose against Alexander Usyk. So that's a really good mandatory fight. That's the only really fight that his own subscribers have. They got these fans paying for yearly subscriptions, and they hasn't really been delivering. You know what I'm saying? They're not even really keeping Canelo Alvarez, and then the fights that Canelo did have on the zone was average at best. You know, like not even nothing worth paying. You know, like unbelievable. But yeah, the next big fight that I think should happen is the CrawfordPorter fight. I think fans need a fight like that, action-packed fight. Fans need the Fury Wilder fight to happen. You know, hopefully Fury finally gives somebody a rematch and finally defends his title for the first time. Hopefully Canelo Alvarez and Caleb Plant doesn't end in controversy. Hopefully Caleb Plant gets a fair shake in that fight. I think Caleb Plant winning would be better for boxing. Not because I'm some Canelo hater that actually like Canelo Alvarez, but I'm not too happy with the guy right now. But I do think that Caleb Plant winning is just better for boxing. And it's just for various reasons. White American. We haven't had one of those in a long time. You'll get the casual white American fans back into boxing again. Why? Because they see one of them winning and wrecking shit. So if Caleb Plant got all them fucking belts and shit, man, he'll be the man. And I think that'd be a good move for boxing if Caleb Plant was to win. It'll shake things up. Canelo Alvarez will have to run it back because there's a rematch clause in the fight. And I mean, I feel it's just the best case scenario for boxing. You know, we need these rivals. We don't need Canelo Alvarez just going up in here and beating up on everybody. If he could do it, he could do it. But I think Caleb Plant winning would be better for the sport. We get a rematch fight. It'll be a new storyline built. And it'll just shake things up. It won't take away from anything Canelo has done. Now, the paid accusations and all that surrounding his camp may do that. But the actual fight itself, nah, it won't do that. But other than that, you guys, this week probably won't be as long as last week. Ain't too much happened. Billy Joe Saunders said that he wants $5 million to fight Chris Eubanks Jr. He said he wants to fight Chris Eubanks Jr., but he put a price tag on the fight. See, when these guys do that shit, they don't really want to fight for real. You know what I'm saying? Okay, you just say you want to fight. You didn't have to put a price tag in the public on it. See, there we go. What your boy Bushido tell you. When these guys start putting numbers out there, then these fights don't happen. Really what Billy Joe is trying to do is let everybody know he's still here. He don't really want to fight Chris Eubanks Jr. He just knows that that's something that could possibly get him back on track and with some momentum and things of that nature. But back when Chris Eubanks Jr. was trying to fight him all these years, he was acting like Chris Eubanks Jr. wasn't worthy to fight him. So Chris Eubanks Jr., if he decides to turn the cheek on him and shit like that, hey, it is what it is. Because Billy Joe has been on some bullshit for years, protecting his O to save it for Canelo Alvarez and shit. And then he got his fucking eye broke for his efforts. So, yeah, good luck getting that fight. Chris Eubanks Jr. is fighting some guy. Just absolutely forgettable opponent. I don't even remember the guy's name. What else we got? Now I'm starting to remember some things. Mike Garcia ducks Regis Prograis. I did a video on it. Mikey Garcia, man, what is this guy doing? You know what I'm saying? What is this guy doing? I think Mike Garcia really just clout chasing, just to kind of stay relevant, just to kind of keep his name out there, because a lot of boxing fans don't believe in this dude no more, and we haven't seen him in quite some time. And really, it's looking like he's just trying to cherry pick and pick the right guys. I mean, he was trying to fight some dude named Sandro Martin from Spain that nobody in the universe heard of. And the zone wasn't willing to pay for it. So it's either Regis Prograis or bust for Mikey Garcia. It's unfortunate that Regis Prograis, he may have a hard time getting some fights. You know, he may have a really, really hard time getting fights. Just had a picture surfaced of him next to training with Shakur Stevenson. Shakur Stevenson but looked like he's about 2 weight classes bigger than Regis Prograis. And Prograis is actually 2 weight classes higher than Shakur Stevenson. So a lot of people are now saying that Shakur Stevenson is a weight bully, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Imagine what Regis Prograis would do at lightweight, you know. Underrated fighter, man. Hopefully he gets these big fights and these big opportunities. Mikey Garcia will be a star for him. But Mikey Garcia, man, he's not really willing to. I don't think he want to get in there with Rougarou. You know, I don't think Mikey wants to get in there with him. You know, he clout chased these guys' names, and then he just nothing happens. So boxing fans probably at this point are going to write Mikey Garcia off until he shows us something. But other than that, you guys, is there anything else? Nah, there's not too much, man. Not too much happened this week. Not too much news. Not too much anything exciting. The biggest thing that happened recently was the Jake Paul Tyron Woodley fight. Tyron Woodley said he loves this boxing shit. He wants to do it again, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. He seems to be in good spirits after the loss. He knows deep down he feels he won a fight. Everybody's telling him he won a fight. A lot of people think that Tyron Woodley won that fight. So, hopefully he gets a rematch and get another payday. And then that make up for his rough time in the UFC, because he was that rebel guy. And UFC didn't like his outspokenness about how they was treating him. They didn't like that shit with Tyron Woodley. But hopefully he gets another payday with Jake Paul. Hopefully he gets the job done, unless his hands go a little bit more this time. But other than that, I think I covered about everything I wanted to cover today on this week's monologue. Not too much exciting shit happened, man. Hopefully we get some big fight announcements soon. Hopefully the Wilder Fury 3 fight happens. Hopefully the Caleb Plant Canelo fight happens. Hopefully nothing happens to prevent that fight. And hopefully we get Terrence Bud Crawford versus Showtime Sean Porter. Like, subscribe, holla at your boy. Peace out.